the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to move swiftly and diplomatically to persuade U.S. President Donald Trump to delay any action against Nigeria for at least 100 days. Speaking at the November Holy Ghost service at the Redemption City in Ogun State over the weekend, Adeboye warned that the situation requires wisdom and speed rather than confrontation. The pastor advised President Tinubu to find a way to convince Trump to delay actions, then return home and give security chiefs a 90-day ultimatum to eliminate terrorists or resign. Adeboye warned that no foreign power, not China nor Russia, would intervene to defend Nigeria if military conflict erupted, calling for immediate exposure of terrorism sponsors and stronger accountability within security forces. Now, Ayo, this Pastor Adeboye's counsel, reflects the gravity of Nigeria's predicament at the moment, caught between Trump's threats and our own persistent insecurity crisis. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump over the weekend announced that America will boycott the G20 summit scheduled to hold in Johannesburg, South Africa later this month, citing claims of white persecution in the country. Trump described it as a total disgrace that South Africa is hosting the meeting of leaders from the world's largest economies, alleging that Afrikaners are being killed and their farms illegally confiscated. The claims of white genocide in South Africa have been dismissed by political parties in the country, including those representing Afrikaners and other white communities. A South African court in February ruled the allegations as clearly imagined, while the government described them as widely discredited and unsupported by reliable evidence. South Africa's foreign ministry expressed regret over the White House decision, stating that Trump is orchestrating an imagined crisis using the painful history of South Africa's colonial past, insisting that crime affects all South Africans regardless of race. Well, Trump's genocide claims of white South Africans and the government's denial mirrors his claims of Christian genocide in Nigeria that Nigerian authorities have disputed, pointing instead to complex ethno-religious conflicts affecting both Christians and Muslims. I'd like your thoughts before I go to this story, Ayo, and also would like your thoughts as well on this particular story. But I don't want our viewers to lose the conversation with Pastor Adeboye advising President Tinubu to have Trump to hold off, and so that he can talk with the military chiefs, and also the fact that the U.S. president at this moment has boycotted that G20 summit.
He
in
even
South
challenges
Africa.
South Africa being a member of the G20. But let me put that so that we don't lose, like you said. I think it's important because there are a number of voices now speaking and now even trying to make it a Christian versus Muslim fight, whereby we're now losing the essence of what the issue is, which is that there is insecurity, there are Christians being killed in some parts of the country, freedom of religion, despite it being guaranteed by the Constitution, is not implemented or enforced in certain parts of the country. Now, Pastor Adeboye speaking up on Friday, I watched his speech, some people might consider it as long overdue, because people have been calling for Christian leaders in Nigeria to speak up and share their own reality. I say this because many of these churches have their branches, or by nature of their influence, understand what's going on in these parts. They have reports from some of their pastors who have been killed and members who have been attacked, or churches that have been burnt. Yes. So they understand the real issues that are going on. But I think his statement then put to rest why people had been asking, because he said that in the background he had been engaged with not just this current president, but previous presidents in trying to find a way to solve the problem of Christians being killed and generally the insecurity in the nation. Adding to his voice, we have the PFN president, Bishop Wale Oke, who stated emphatically that there is genocide against Christians. He has spoken concerning his constituents. Pastor Paul Enenche has been very consistent in calling out for this. We have pastors, of course. Bishop David Oyedepo is very vocal as well about it. So what I'm saying is that the people who are affected, the main stakeholders, have come out to now say that this is really happening, solve the problem. I do think that Pastor Adeboye's advice to the president is in good stead. To ask for some time from the president, through diplomatic conversation. And that's why we've maintained on this table that please let us open diplomatic channels. And like Dr. Bati had mentioned, if we have to bring in experienced diplomats to the mix, let's do so. And let us ask for more time. If we're saying that we can solve the problem, give marching orders to these new service chiefs to fix the problem in 90 days. We know that Nigeria can fix the problem. We know that they know the people that are behind these terrorists, those who are funding the terrorists. They know. They know who they are.
Well,
do they have the political will to actually go after them? Trump can be the catalyst to finally solving this injustice that has been meted out on not just Christians, but Nigerians as a whole across different parts. Can we finally have peace in the nation?
Well said, Ayo, well said. Well, speaking about pastors who actually have experience, in the same vein, journalist Ireti Bakare Yusuf anchored a special edition of Borderlines examining the contentious issues of insecurity, allegations of Christian genocide in Nigeria, and the Trump administration's threat to the Nigerian state. The program featured security consultant Dr. Kabiru Adamu, who provided data-driven analysis presenting statistics on terrorist killings in Nigeria, broken down by religious affiliation, offering empirical context to claims and counterclaims about the nature of violence in the country. The program also featured testimony from Reverend Joseph John Hayab, chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State Chapter. Reverend Hayab shared harrowing personal testimony, revealing he had buried almost 2,000 people in Kaduna in the past, with over 300 more deaths following the 2002 Miss World riots. He expressed frustration on how attacks on Christians, including burned churches, killed pastors, and wiped out families, are routinely dismissed as mere communal clashes rather than targeted religious violence. Let's take a look.
I'm speaking as the pastor who buried the almost 2,000 people in 2000 in Kaduna. Quote me, my name is Reverend Hayab. I'm speaking as the pastor who also did the mass burial of the over 300 people of the Miss World Beauty Pageant on the 23rd of November 2002. I'm also the pastor who came out publicly to denounce the Danish cartoon in 2006, but it later leads to the death of Christians in Maiduguri and death of Christians in Bauchi. So I have been around and I think I know this story. Listening, we are coiling it into the politics of America as if we are not in Nigeria. Sincerely speaking, there has been killings of Christians in northern Nigeria before even the advent of Boko Haram. I was in Kano. I just left Kano with 1 week, and the killing of the visit of Reabonke happened. People were caught. You know, it's a different thing that you are shot to death. It's something else that you are caught to pieces, caught by the neck, caught hard to death. I saw these cops. I had to run back. My pastor asked me, why did you come back? I said, no, I just left for Kaduna 1 week, and then I heard what happened to my people in places in Kano. I just came back. I was the pastor who first came out to condemn the Danish cartoon because I knew what was going to follow. But despite that effort, Christians were killed in Maiduguri. In Maiduguri in 2009, when Boko Haram started, they were never attacking Muslims. They actually went for the church because they said we are infidel.
Vimbai, this was quite explosive, but let's take a look at the summary of attacks on places of worship as presented by Dr. Kabiru Adamu over the period of 2021 to 2025. He drew up this chart. It says churches, a total of 121 incidents targeted churches, resulting in 389 abductions and 110 killings. The years 2021, 23 incidents occurred. 137 people were abducted. In 2022, 33 incidents occurred. 74 people abducted and 47 people killed. I mean, this appeared to be, the peak years of this specific type of attack. Now, for mosques, Vimbai, are you watching? Over the same period, a total of 75 incidents targeted mosques, resulting in about 263 abductions and then 142 killings. Notably, mosques attacks recorded more fatalities. It showed a total of 142 versus 110, despite having fewer incidents and fewer abductions. Also 263 versus 389 overall. I mean, the year 2025, he says, saw the highest number of killings in mosques, a rise to 51 from 10 incidents. So the insecurity is speaking, as you see in that graph. Well, this critical conversation highlights the complexity of Nigeria's security challenges, where legitimate concerns about religious violence intersects with geopolitical narratives and domestic politics. Reverend Hayab's testimony of burying thousands cannot be dismissed. Yet, Dr. Adamu's statistics reminds us that terrorism affects Nigerians across faiths, while as Trump threatens Nigeria over genocide claims, the question remains, are we addressing security with facts and solutions, or allowing foreign powers to weaponize our tragedies for their own political agendas? And these are the sort of questions that are out there. And I think that this is what the federal government needs to study. These are people that are speaking. We have security experts. We have pastors, we have priests that are willing to give account. I remember that we hosted the Arewa community here, and one of the statements that I took dear to my heart was, why was it that the federal government left this whole insecurity issue until Trump wrote that tweet, instead of setting up a judicial panel of inquiry to have all these actors come and we investigate and tackle the problem, which is what I think should happen now, as Pastor Adeboye has also suggested. Your thoughts?
Gosh, there's so many things that come to mind with this, OG. I think number one is data. Data, and data. I have to continue to emphasize that, because we see independent people coming with, with various elements of their data, with their own research, which is important. However, this is where we now see the vacuum that has been created by the fact that we're missing data. We're missing official, verified data. Now, again, I think I want to echo what my colleagues have already said. Ayo and Rufai have already said. Let's be careful about breaking this down into, Christian and Muslim and so forth. And let's come together now and focus on the issue at hand. The issue at hand for me, OG, I think is the insecurity, number one, and number two, it being weaponized by foreign powers. Now, I love that you brought South Africa, because let's bring that into context. Over the past 24 hours, the group that went to report white genocide, that's AfriForum, that went to report that to Donald Trump, have actually backpedaled. And they've come back and said that, oh no, they never said there was a genocide and they're sorry. Now, this is an important thing to note, because in the South African context, there isn't this data that we're seeing concerning Nigeria. It doesn't exist in South Africa because the genocide genuinely doesn't exist. There's no evidence of it whatsoever. However, we already see what a false allegation has done. G20, you don't have the United States coming. In terms of tariffs, economic warfare, it's gotten worse with the United States. So the relations between the two countries have become so frosty, and it's impacting the average South African now, because jobs are being lost, because American investment and American business that used to engage in that country is no longer engaging. Right. So why do I say this? I say this because it still brings us back home, that even if we are to seek alliances and assistance, the root foundational issues are here at home, and only we can address them. They can come, they can advise, they can do all of those things, but ultimately the core issues here are that there is insecurity, but also that there's a lot of national healing that needs to happen between various groups and various ethnicities, whether it be by religious divide or whether it be by ethnic divide. There is national healing that needs to happen, so that this mutual animosity that exists between groups can start to be tempered down.
Well said, Vimbai. Thank you for your submission. And, while you were speaking, Rufai shared this story, which I already have as well, about, the villages that were attacked even over the weekend. Last week as well, there were villages attacked in Benue State. The details, the gory visuals are just heartbreaking. They say several villagers are feared dead, while many others remain missing following a suspected herdsman attack in Anuwule community in Ogwelu, Ohimini local government area of Benue State. So we're calling on the security forces in Benue State to actually help us out with this reporting, because obviously we have our reporters on ground who would like to also share this sort of information with our security forces if they have apprehended the people that are behind this dastardly attack. Well, meanwhile, may their souls rest in peace.